women want 660s, the top 1% of men. And do they use the 660s as a way to vet the men they want to date? So what I'll be talking about today, I want to help you to understand a little bit behind what is the reality of these 660s. I hope you feel inspired after this video and inspired to take action and start creating the love life you absolutely deserve and want. So, hi, my name's Dr. Marie. I'm a registered psychologist in the UK, a relationship therapist and coach. So what are these 660s? That women only accept a man who has a six-figure salary or even more potentially. So the women only want top earners. And I'm not saying that this is not true, because it is true for certain women. If we think about the society we live today, everything it is very expensive. If you meet a woman who would like to perhaps take an extended maternity leave, I know in the US it's only 6 weeks, which is absolutely, as a European, that is shocking. But if a woman wants to build a family and be at home for an extended period and look after her children, then she needs someone who is a provider, because going 50-50, it won't work. You can't be both at home with the kids and getting a six-figure salary yourself. So yes, there are women who worked very hard for their position, and they want someone who is also able to help to keep the lifestyle that they've been having going, and especially when you have children. But then there are other women, and these are women who have not been so career focused. They're looking for just a good bloke, a guy who's committed, a man with a plan, someone who has a steady job. When we say women only want a six-figure salary, I mean, that in itself, it seems very ludicrous, because not all women are the same. Not all life circumstances are the same. If you live in a small town where it's very cheap, it's totally different from living in a city, New York, London, one of these places. Let's talk about this. Women wanting only a man who is over 6 foot. And yes, it is a female fantasy to be with a man who is very tall, because that gives, in this fantasy, she feels like she's been looked after, she's been protected by this man. And this goes back to the evolution of wanting someone who is able to protect her. And many times women confuse the physical height with emotional safety. But of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that. And on dating apps where you can choose the height, and a woman is fantasizing about the man she wants to meet, she's thinking about, it must be someone who is tall, because he can then protect me and he can scoop me away. And she's in this fantasy. And it is a fantasy. So if you are someone who is not 6 foot and you are struggling to meet women, and you believe that this is the reason, you need to start meeting women more outside in the world. And if you are meeting women in environments where they're not wearing high heels, where they're skiing, hiking, might be running, other walking clubs, other type of activities, playing badminton, or something like that. The height is not the thing. You are not then judged on your height, because the woman will get to know you as a person first. She's not just mechanically choosing from an ideal list. All women are really looking for is someone who helps them to feel safe, emotionally, physically safe initially when they meet, someone who is engaging and interested in them, someone who is really a good bloke, someone who is boundaried and is very straightforward without playing any games. And then let's talk about this horsepower, 600 horsepower plus. Okay, there are many people who don't even own a car. So, for example, in London, you wouldn't have a car because you don't need it. So this might maybe apply to, I don't know, women in certain countries, in certain areas. For example, in the US, where you drive a lot, it's very different from, for example, I mentioned, centre of London, you just don't go driving there. And it really depends on the woman's values. Is she into all of this superficial stuff? I guess, like the yoga women, they're not. They're much more into holistic healing and meditating. But are you into that stuff? This card that helps you to feel more manly in front of other men or in front of women. I have never heard of a woman yet say, "Oh, I want a man with a powerful engine." And then when it comes to appearance and six pack, well, a lot of times women are quite self-conscious themselves, and they would feel inferior to a bloke who has got six pack abs. So this in itself, while she might admire at a distance a man who has a good physique, who has this kind of perfect image, but she might not want to be with him because those six-pack abs don't come without sacrifice. If she is someone who enjoys food, he is not going to be the one for her because he has to be thinking about his protein intake. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Looking after your health is very important. It's very sexy, it's very attractive, and you need to be really the picture of health more than having those very well defined abs. And what's even more important, just in terms of image wise, and when women are looking at men, is that you've got style. And that's very easy to learn. And maybe go and start looking at men's styles and go to see a stylist and help them to figure out what style works for you best. It doesn't necessarily come naturally to everyone, not even to all women. So you can learn this stuff. But when you're stylish, you have clothes which are fitting you well. When you have a good haircut can transform it all. I've been watching, I'm absolutely obsessed with these videos of this man, this barber somewhere in the States, and men come from really far away, and the transformations are just incredible. So, go and pay for a good haircut, not just someone doing, one over or 3 mil over or something like that, but real style. And the real style with, feeling healthy inside with good nutrition and exercise and the right clothing, you are about 90% better off than anyone else. We can all scrub up well if we have the right kind of advice and the ingredients. So there's so much more important than the six-foot abs. But if you have a bad attitude, that stinks, and that's much worse. Is this something to think about? How could you improve your style and become more attractive and feel better within yourself? Get out of that man cave you're in and you start creating the life you want. We've got 2 more to go through. So next one is have 6 inches below the belt. Well, just to say very briefly, it matters so much more about how you really communicate and the kind of relationship you create with the woman, how you connect with her and how you discuss the physical intimacy, because that matters the most. And then finally, number 6, the man needs to have been out of a relationship for more than 6 months. And this I do agree with. Can you put a number to it? No. But what's important is that he has worked through some of this stuff. Why did that previous relationship fail? What was going on? How did he contribute to this relationship dynamic? And you can't just blame it on the other person. You need to really understand what you brought to the table in that relationship, because it's always a dynamic. And then if someone else decides to step out of the relationship or whatever happens, that needs to be understood and processed before you enter a new relationship. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video today, is that go out there, meet women in different situations. I've heard, for example, there was a recent report from a Friday night in London, in the centre of London. People were going to pottery classes instead of going to bars. So there are so many different ways of meeting women. And when you go and do activities that are not specifically for dating, you can build your social skills. And then start normal conversations with women, because women are not these aliens. Women are just human beings like you. And if you're feeling anxious, that's absolutely fine. But also, if you want to build your confidence, you can download my dating confidence guide and get some actionable steps on how to really start building more confidence and start taking action and create the love life that you want. I want to be your cheerleader. I want you to find love. So please subscribe to my channel and get a weekly dose of hope and advice. You take care now.